Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenan, Wesley, Mason. That's me.
And you can get back to you, the whole you, and nothing but the whole you, which is what holistics is, which is a part of what I do. As a holistic psychology practitioner, I talk to people about these very subjects so they can learn ways of healing. Healing, because here in America, you can't use the word cure. But all of us have healing capability. And we know this because when you cut yourself, healing takes place right in front of your eyes, right? You cut yourself, healing takes place, blood comes to the surface, it coagulates with the air and forms a barrier or a covering or a shield over the wound. And the shield is there for about a week or two, and then it magically falls off. And this is what we call healing on the outer part of the body. Well, the same thing can occur on the inside of the body as well. But because we can't see it physically, we tend not to believe that this type of healing can occur on the inside. You know, it kind of baffles most people that healing can actually occur on the inside versus you being diagnosed with a condition and then feeling like you have to have it for the rest of your life. And that's not true. No one has to have a condition for the rest of your life. No one has to have diabetes for the rest of their lives. Type 2 diabetes can be healed quite easily if you're willing to take 90 days to do so. You know, I mean, if you're willing to take 6 months, 3 to 6 months out of your life, you can pretty much heal damn near anything. But the individual has to be willing to take that ride and have all faith that that healing will occur. Most people don't have faith in natural remedies, which is why they keep going to the standard chemotherapy, more and more chemotherapy, more and more radiation. You know, I mean, radiologists have a field day with the cancer patient. You know, the more radiation we can give you, the better. And by the way, for women that still believe that mammograms are the best way of detection, consider that there is another way to detect cancer and any other malfunction or discrepancy in the body through something called thermograms or thermography as opposed to mammography. Because mammograms are way too invasive, again, for the precious feminine anatomy, where you're having 50 to 60 pounds of pressure squeezing the bejesus out of the breast tissue. All that just to see if there's cancer existing in the breast tissue and zapping it. Also know that every time you have a mammogram that you're actually increasing your chances of developing cancer in the breast region by 2 to 5%. 2 to 5%. You're increasing your chances because you're having this artificial radiation inside of your body. I mean, the only radiation that we're supposed to have is radiation from the sun. Now, that's radiant enough for the human body. The more sunlight you get, the better, because it allows your body to develop and generate more vitamin D from your liver. And when you have vitamin D in tandem with the calcium in your body that makes you alkaline, calcium comes from your bones, blood comes from your bones, right? This is why everything is linked and all of it is important. So no one has to have any of these conditions. No one has to have any of these conditions. So we need to start having more or better information given to us or given to the general public, because cancer doesn't have to exist for anyone. Cancer doesn't have to exist for anyone at any time in life. At any time in life, all human beings are designed to be cancer-free or illness-free. No one has to have any illnesses, but we do because we haven't been taught how to live in life. We're not taught how to live. We're not taught how to use our brains in school. We're not taught the more intricate ways of health. We're taught about the 4 basic food groups and very basics about health. But we're not taught in school that the body can heal itself from what we consider serious conditions, such as cancer, such as mental illness. No one has to be mentally ill. But if we take on certain patterns and traits of our environment, yeah, we can become mentally ill, taking on the patterns of other people, whether it's our parents or respective family members, immediate family members. But no one has to develop cancer. No one has to develop diabetes. No one has to develop heart disease, right? No one has to develop heart disease or what they call hypertension. And hypertension or heart disease, all that has to do with prolonged anger issues as well. Prolonged anger, prolonged grudges, right? People that have grudges against other people for years and years and years and years and years. Yeah, that can develop hypertension, cancer, and also certain mental illnesses, that can alter how your brain functions, creating an adverse neurology in your brain where negative energy can flow through. So when you change the thinking patterns, when you change the way you feel about life, when you change the way you feel about life, when you change the way you feel about you, when you change the way you feel about your circumstances of life, and if there have been adverse circumstances, let's learn from them instead of being victim or victimized by them. Let's learn from it and correct them, so we won't have to play the victim role for the rest of our lives, blaming everyone else for our physical hardships, right? Blaming everyone else for our physical hardships. So just know that cancer can be healed, and all cancers. And that includes cancer that's at a stage 4 diagnosis. For many, if not most people, they can still be healed at a stage 4. Stage 4 for those that are willing. For those that are willing. And unfortunately, many people still believe that chemotherapy is the answer. And when they find out that it hasn't been the answer or it's not the answer, then they'll start to consider natural ways of healing. But you can take the initial route and initiate healing naturally by knowing that chemotherapy is not a real treatment or a healing remedy. Artificial radiation is not a healing remedy. I mean, what are we doing when we have radiation? We're literally burning the human body from the inside. we're internally heating. I mean, we're frying your organs, right? That's what radiation is. We're frying the organs in the hopes that we burn the respective cancer cells. Only those, though, not all the other cancer cells. But radiation doesn't work like that. Chemotherapy doesn't work like that. It doesn't pick and choose. No, it's going to go after every single cell in the body. Every single cell in the body. And it's going to tarnish every single cell in the body. It's going to literally tarnish every single cell in the body. You know, when you have chemotherapy, you can no longer be a blood donor. Did you know that? When you have chemotherapy, you can no longer be a blood donor because your blood is permanently tainted. Unless you do some sort of detoxification or cleansing of the nature of the chemical therapy, which base is it was mustard gas. I don't know if that's still the base, but nonetheless, we're talking about substances that have been used in chemical warfare. That's what's being used as a therapeutic remedy. Chemotherapy, right? Radiation and surgery or purging the cancer out, not really addressing how we can make it not occur again. So just know that there are multiple ways, whether it's, and I talked about this with Dr. Ali, she brought up the old Royal Rife frequency therapies, because cancer is just a frequency. And if you can find the frequency to match that cancer and neutralize it, you know, you get you can zap it with a frequency and make it explode, right? Frequency therapy, which absolutely works almost 100% of the time, because again, we're talking about frequency, a frequency of matching a vibration or a specific sound frequency with that of the cancer, so it can disperse or explode, right? So it can explode. For you old schoolers out there, think of the game, the video game, the arcade game, Dig Dug, you know, where he uses this pump to pump this air inside of the monster until it explodes. That's what the frequencies do to cancer cells, right? They neutralize them until they explode. Or if you remember the old, and I'm dating myself, but it's okay, the old Memorex commercials from back in the 80s, you know, where you had the opera singer that was singing at such a high pitch, you know, the Mariah Carey pitch, and the frequency is so high that it matched the frequency of the glass, the wine glass, such as this right here. If I were to take a high frequency and turn the volume up, this glass would literally start wobbling back and forth until it shatters, because the frequency was an exact match, and it shattered the glass. That's what it used to do on those old Memorex commercials with the opera singer. She would sing at such a high volume, the glass would shatter. That's what happens with cancer or any illness inside the body. When you have a matching frequency, sound frequency, it neutralizes it, which is another way of helping to heal cancer and other illnesses. So that's just one way. Another way is to listen to certain audios that give instructions on certain ways to think about your diagnosis or think about your illness, think about healing versus thinking about the diagnosis, right? Most people, when they get the cancer diagnosis, they automatically go into a state of fear, right? A state of fear. And that state of fear usually causes the cancer to grow. Another thing is sugar or most artificial substances, such as sugar, salt, but mostly sugar, helps to feed cancer and keeping it in its anaerobic state. Because the more acidic the human body is, the more cancer can fester. The more alkaline the body is, the more cancer won't be able to fester. It'll start to disappear on its own because it can't stand being in an alkaline environment. It just can't. You know, cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. That's been proven over and over and over and over and over again. When your pH level is at 7.4, because neutral is 7, when your pH level is at 7.3, 7.4 to maybe about 7.8, 7.9, you're not developing cancer or most other illnesses for that matter, because your body is at a totally different state of vibration. You know, it's in an alkaline state, which means that your body is functioning at more close to an optimal level versus an acidic state where all of your organs are wide open for viruses, bacteria, you name it. The accumulation of preservatives that are in the food supply, all of those contribute. So just be aware and be cautious of that as we go into the final week or the final 10 days or so of what we acknowledge as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and mental awareness as well. So just know that you can heal yourself of virtually any and all illnesses. There is no such thing as an incurable illness because most, if not all, our illnesses are self-inflicted anyway. So if we can develop it, we can heal it, right? So as I wrap up here, make sure that you go to, make sure that you subscribe once again to the Kinetic Hour. Subscribe to the Kinetic Hour on YouTube. Kinetic, that's Kennetic. Click thumbs up, leave your comment, tell everyone that you know to tune in to the Kinetic Hour. I'll be lining up more guests to come as we wrap up the rest of the year. And going into the new year, I will be having more guests on as well. Not only guests that I've previously interviewed, but I've already put the call out and I'll keep on putting the call out for the Instagram influencers, the Facebook influencers, the TikTok influencers, and the LinkedIn influencers. All those platforms, because there's plenty of them on there. Come on the Kinetic Hour and let's talk. Let's have a conversation, because this is the Kinetic Hour, conversations with you and guests. Conversations with you. It doesn't matter if you have 100,000 followers or 1,000 followers. That's irrelevant to me. You don't have to have 1.5 million followers. That's irrelevant to me. What do you have to bring to the table so we can learn something? So we can learn how to be better every single day. And we can have fun with it. You know, we can have fun with it. The Kinetic Hour is about having a great time and listening to some vital information, you know, and we can talk about anything. So for those that are out there, tell everyone you know, whether it's about health matters, physical or mental health, whether it's about social issues, whether it's about what's going on in politics right now, with all this nonsense with the with the Speaker of the House, with the Donald and all of his court cases, with all of the war that's going on the other side of the planet. We can talk about any of those topics. Relationships, we can talk about relationships. I'm going to have one of my best friends on. I had him on before. He was actually one of my first guests, Big Truck from the King's Table, and have him on to talk about relationships and also mental health as well, past trauma issues that many people have, which bring them to their dysfunctional relationships, right? Family patterns and things of that nature. So I'm going to have him on to talk about that as well in the weeks to come. I might even have him come on before the month is up, so we can have a discussion about relationships and past traumas and how that reflects in a person's relationship. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Physically, we can talk about cancer. We can talk about diabetes. We can talk about women of color having fibroids, endometriosis, all of it, because all of it is relevant and all of it needs to be addressed. We can talk about the war that's going on in Israel, or the wars that are going on right here in our own backyard. The war on food prices, the war on gas prices, right? So yeah, we can talk about all of that. So again, I'm putting out the invitation to everyone out there in social media land. Come on the show. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Again, as I wrap up, go to the Kinetic Hour on YouTube, KENNETIC. And for health information, whether it's physical health or mental health, go to Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. Or you can just go to YouTube and type in Kinetic Fit. Kinetic Fit. Come back and for another episode. I may come back before the week is up, just to recap on the happenings here in America and all over the world. So all of you, just be well, take care of yourself. Know that you can heal yourself of virtually all illness, and just know that you are that powerful. You are that powerful. Till next time.